And back with Illustrator again, and this is chapter 6, using color and patterns, and we are now going to proceed painting with patterns on the top of page 201. In addition to process and spot colors, the swatches panel can also contain pattern and gradient swatches. Illustrator provides sample swatches of each type in the default swatches panel as separate libraries and lets you create your own patterns and gradients. We're going to work on creating, applying, and editing patterns. A pattern is artwork that's saved in the swatches panel, and it can be applied to a stroke or a fill. You can customize existing patterns and design patterns from scratch with any of the Illustrator tools. All patterns start with a single tile that is tiled or repeated within a shape, starting at the ruler origin and continuing to the right. We're going to apply an existing pattern to a shape. Let's move over to back to artboard number 1, and with the selection tool, you need to select the large light brown shape and hide that. So go to Object and Hide Selection. So that leaves us with the dark green behind it. Now, everything's deselected. In the swatches panel, you're going to click the Swatch Libraries menu button here at the bottom and go to Patterns. You want Basic Patterns, and within Basic Patterns, it's Basic Patterns Textures. That's going to open up this library. With the selection tool, click to select the large white rectangle off on the left edge of the first artboard. That's this one. Make sure the fill box is forward. So yes, make sure your fill box is forward and your stroke box is behind. And select the pattern that is called sticks. So let's find that. Bird feet, burlapped, capsules, circles, concentric, lines. You just have to wait for everything to come up. Ripple, random, gravel, vineyard, sewage disposal. Wow, this is wonderful. Come on, bird feet, burlap. Doesn't tell me which one it is, so I just have to keep hunting and pecking. Concentric, crosses, dashed lines, stipple, sticks. There it is. Okay, so it's in the second line, sort of in the middle, and you're going to select that. Now, the sticks pattern fills your fill over there. You can close this now. Then the sticks pattern is added up here to your swatches panel. Now you can deselect and save again. Now you can create your own pattern. We're going to create a custom pattern and add it to the swatches panel. With the selection tool, click to select that yellow leaf that's up at the top. And you're going to go to Object, Pattern. Oh, let's find Pattern. There it is, Make. Now you get this lovely dialog box that comes up and says that it's been added to the swatches palette, which it is right there. So just say OK to that and accept it. The next thing that shows up is the pattern editing mode. This is a lot like the isolation mode that we've worked in, but pattern editing makes it so that you can create and edit the pattern interactively while previewing the changes to the pattern on the artboard. The pattern options, which you can open through Windows pattern options. So if you go up to Windows, you'll see it, pattern options. That's what we've got open right now. Also opens, and this gives you all the necessary options to create your pattern. So with our pattern selection, or with the selection tool with our pattern, click on that center leaf. It's going to have a box around it anyway, but click to select it. Now, you can zoom into this thing, maybe so that you can really see what the heck is going on. And there's a series of lighter colored leaves around that center shape. That's the repeated leaf shape. and it's dimmed so that you can focus on the original. The blue, that box that comes up around it, it says it's blue, but it actually looks black to me. But anyway, that's the pattern tile. So if you click off, you see that that is the tile, and that's the area that just keeps getting repeated. With the leaf shape selected, change the fill color to the forest green. Okay, so pick up your forest green color and make sure that the stroke is none if it isn't already. So we're good with that. And we're going to change the opacity in the control panel up here down to 80%. So you're going to make it a little bit, a little see-through. The first thing we're going to do is explore some of the pattern options, and then we're going to edit the artwork in the pattern a little bit more. So in the pattern options dialog box, instead of naming it new pattern, you're going to change the name to leaves. Okay. And we want to choose hex by column for the tile type. So right now it's on grid. We want it hex by column, which is going to give this more of an overlap. The name appears in the swatches panel as a tooltip and can be useful to distinguish multiple pattern swatches, and the tile type determines how the pattern is going to be tiled. You can either have the default grid, you can have the brick by brick. If we did brick by brick, it would change it so that it's offset. Brick by column, hex by column, and hex by row, and we're doing the hex by column. With the selection tool still selected, drag the leaf to the left a little bit. If you do that, you can see that the blue tiles move with the artwork. So click the Symbols panel, hover the pointer over the green leaves to see a tooltip name of Medium Leaf. Okay, at this point, we're supposed to take and drag over the medium leaf and then the small leaf from our Symbols panel. Now, I've done this, and it's not been working correctly. Now, if you drag the symbols over and place it as they say, I get a series of black boxes. Now, the black boxes actually will turn into the small leaf symbol, but the black box is really getting in the way. We can either go ahead and do this and put this in and have these black boxes showing, which is really kind of annoying if you don't want to be able to, don't want to do this. And the thing is, the whole thing is that this actually works, because if I do done, it's going to come up with this dialog box, and I can still apply it. And I'm just going to apply this, and then I'm going to take it away, because I don't like not being able to see what I'm doing. And it actually will work. Those instances will come up, but I'm going to undo. Let me get that back out of there. What I can do with this is I can go into my symbols panel. I'm going to double click to open the symbol, and I'm going to grab this leaf, and I'm going to copy it. Control C to copy, and I'm going to back out of this. And I know it's a little more complicated than what I'd really like to be doing, but I found this to be a little bit easier. And now I can Control V and paste the small leaf. When I do that, I actually get to see what I'm working on, and I don't have all those little black boxes that I was dealing with before. So again, I'm going to go to Symbols. I'm going to double click the small leaf, pick this up. You can do Edit, copy, back out of this. Now I'm going back to my swatches panel. I'm going to double click that swatch, which brings up my pattern options, and I'm going to paste the small leaf in, and now I can drag the small leaf down and place it below as they showed it. I can still go back in and I can edit the other leaf and drag that around and put it wherever I'd like. So I have the flexibility, plus I can actually see what I'm doing which I couldn't do before. Now I can go to size tile to art, and that's going to kind of push everything over, and we have a little bit better scale that we're dealing with, and it looks much more like what we wanted. I can still go back in and I can re-edit, and notice since we have that selected, every time I make a move on one of these pieces, the the hex keeps changing, so it's very dynamic. Once I have this the way that I want it, I'm going to select done. I'm backed out of that. I have my pattern and I'm ready to go. I didn't finish editing, so all I have to do is double click it to get that. I've got the size tile to art selection, and that's where I wanted it to be. I can also edit the tile area with the pattern tile tool in the upper left corner of the pattern options panel. So I have the ability to work with this. I can set my height and my width manually. We're going to change the height spacing to minus 18 points. This is going to snug it up a little bit, okay? And when I change the vertical spacing the same way, that just snugs the whole thing up. Now, for overlap, you want to click bottom in front. So you have left in front, right in front, top in front, and bottom to the front, and that changes how the overlap is going to be seen. Now, the artwork and the pattern may begin to overlap due to the size of the tiles or the spacing value. By default, when objects overlap horizontally, the left object is on top, and when they overlap vertically, the top object is on top. So if you change those spacings back to 0, and actually you can hook that so that if you, oh, well, I should have done that first, and link them, and then they will be, if you changed one, the other one would automatically change. The pattern options panel has other pattern editing options, and you can see more or less of the pattern called and the pattern, the repeats are called copies. And there's a lot more on that. If you want to look at more for that, you can go into the Illustrator help section, and you'll find some more things in there about it. Select the Show Swatch Bounds at the bottom of the option panel, and you'll see the area within the dotted lines there, and that's what's going to be saved in the swatch. You can deselect that, and you'll just go back to seeing the hex. And if you click Done up in the option bar, you have your swatch, and you might want to go ahead and save.